No, and I did. Then I did start working, and I played in other silly bands. I tell you, another bloke. That Jet Harrison Tony Meehan band had two horns, and one of them was. Oh, anyway, John McLaughlin joined that band on rhythm guitar. This is the first time I met him, which was like hilarious. There he was sitting there all night going rang jang a ding jang dee man jang a ding chee ding a ding ding all night, you know. But that was my first introduction to jazz when he came along, because we'd all get to the gig early and have a blow. Oh, and that was something. First meeting him. He was hilarious. And then I played in a couple of other bands with him, some rhythm and blues bands. I joined a band, Herbie Goins and the Night Timers. And he was on guitar, and I moved in on organ. And I bought myself an M100, M102, I think it was. And I think I had the second one that was ever split. It was an awful job. They sawed it in half, and I had these computer plugs that you had to really line up before you drop the top on. Oh, I had to saw the legs off because I couldn't get it upstairs. And it was a hopeless job, but it sounded good. And I didn't have a Leslie, but it had good vibrato of it, you know. Plus, I like that on an organ, you know, there's. I like to take, you know, you have that slow chorale speed. Well, if you remove one of the plugs, it'll stop dead. It gives you that very sort of, very clean, piercing sound. Because the chorale was, you know. And I used to use no percussion, and just all flute stops, and you know, it gets really screaming, you know. So I've got a C3 now, which is very nice at home. It's a really, really good one, you know. One of those big black 122s. Sounds great, you know, with the plugs removed, of course.
What was the first session you ever did? Do you remember?
I don't think so. Oh, no, I don't remember who it was for. It was in Decca number 2, and I was late. And I suddenly realised how bad my reading was. You know, there was another bass player there, stand-up bass, and I was just there to supply with the click, you know, as they used to have it in those days. But yes, it was nearly my last session.
So who were some of the people that you were doing sessions for?
In those days? Oh, dear, no, wait a minute. All sorts of silly people, I can't think of them now. I just can't think of them. Used to do Tom Jones sessions.
Really?
Kathy Kirby.
Dusty Springfield.
Dusty Springfield.
Stones and Donovan, obviously.
Yeah, I only did one Stone session.
Really?
I arranged, I just did the strings on, they had the track down.
Which track?
She's a Lady, I think.
She's a Rainbow.
She's a Rainbow? No, I thought She's a Lady. No, it's one of their lesser tracks.
Yeah.
It's sort of nothing to write home about. And then, the first Donovan session, yeah, I was booked on the session. And it was a shambles. It was awful. It was so bad. It was Sunshine Superman, and the arranger had got it all wrong, you know. And so I thought, being the opportunist that I was, and I thought, well, you know, I can do better than that. And I sort of went up to the producer, because he was sort of, he came round and said, is there anything you can do, you know, to sort of save this session? And I went, well, look, how about if I just sort of play straight, because I had a part which sort of went, woo, woo, every now and again, and the other bass player sort of did woo, woo down below, and then there was some funny congas that were really out of time. And I said, well, how about we just sort of play it straight, you know, get the drummer to do this and do that, and the session came out, and I was immediately hired as the arranger for Mickey Most, who I loved working with. He's a clever man.
You really like working with him?
Yeah. I did. We used to do Herman's Hermits and all that. I mean, they were never there, you know. to get, I mean, we do a whole album in a day. And it was great fun. We had a lot of laughs, and you know, we did all Lulu stuff. All his artists. Did one Jeff Beck single.
Right.
Which I think you've never spoken to me since.
Well, you play keyboard on that one song, right?
No, I played bass, I think. Well, Hi Ho Silver Lining. I did the arrangement for it. And played bass.
And you also play...
You might have played keyboard as well.
Yeah, you played keyboard on one of the tracks on the Truth album. Old Man River, maybe?
Oh, that's right.
You're credited with one of my...
That's right, yeah. You're right, though. I did do one of them. Then we had Mellow Yellow, which we argued about for hours. They didn't like my arrangement at all. Not at all. And all those brought around, what the fuck is this, you know? But,
all those songs were great. Those are all great songs.
Yeah. Well, Mickey stood by me. He said, I like the arrangement. I think it's good. You know, they're all going, oh, it's not where I'm at. Well, it wasn't Donovan. He didn't mind either, but he had so many people around him saying, hey, no, this isn't him. This isn't him. This and that. And I mean, he did what? He sold a couple of million on it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He did do well.
Most of these sessions you were playing bass?
Yeah.
You were using the Fender?
Yeah.
Do you know what do you know what year it was? What year?
The Fender?
Yeah.
It was the year I bought it. It was it was 61, I think, something like that. Yeah, 62 maybe.
Do you remember the kind of amps you were using?
Oh, amps were murder. Amps are always murder. We were all right with Jet House and Tony Meehan because we used Vox amps. And I had the big T60, which in fact is a forerunner of all these things we use nowadays, you know, with that big reflex cabinet, you know,
right.
and a little transistor top. And it sounded great, but you had to have an arrangement with Vox, but they'd come out and replace them every couple of weeks, because they would just not last any longer. There'd be a horrible noise, and the thing would just sort of sit there looking at you, and you just wheel another one on. And basically, the problems hadn't stopped. I finally found an amp that I love now, and they've stopped making it. I can't win. I got the cabinets I like though now.
Which we'll get into. Which
Oh,
we'll get into in
sorry,
about. Just to kind of keep the continuity,
yeah,
just makes it easier for everybody.
Well, you'll have to edit it at the end.
Yeah. The Hurdy-Gurdy Man session is when you first met Jimmy?
No, I've met Jimmy on sessions before.
You had played with him on earlier sessions?
Yeah, loads of sessions. There was always Big Jim and Little Jim. There's Jim Sullivan. And Little Jim. And myself and my Andy White or Bobby Graham, something like that was always the drummer. Yeah, we were always within section. Did a lot of things. Jimmy, unfortunately, was always old. No, he's going to hate me, but
Go on.
Oh, no, he always had to do, apart from group sessions that where he played solos on and stuff like that, which you have to ask him about. He always ended up on rhythm guitar, because he couldn't read too well. We could read chord symbols and stuff, but he wasn't. I mean, you'd have to do anything when you walk into a session. I then difficult to play. But basically, I used to see a lot of him just sit there with an acoustic guitar, sort of racking out chords. I always thought the bass player's life was much more interesting in those days because nobody knew how to write for bass, And so they just used to say, well, we just give you the chord sheet and get on with it. So at least even on the worst sessions, you can have a little run around,
So most of the bass lines on all those sessions are yours? on all Donovan songs and all that,
Yeah.
basically were your ideas.
Yeah, they're all 40. They were my arrangements, most of those, the ones I played on those. But that was good, you know. I hate to have sat there on acoustic guitar. Dear.
So how long did you do sessions? Did you do sessions?
No, I don't know, 3-4 years now. On and off. Oh yeah, no, I had a really heavy period. Oh, then I thought, no, I'm going to get into arranging. You know, this session just running about is much too silly. And I started running about and arranging. When you're sort of 40 or 50 a month, you start going, oh God, wait a minute. You know. It was getting, and you put that blank piece of score paper in front of you. You just sit there and look at it. Hold on. And then Zeppelin, I suppose. Am I going too fast for you?
No, no.
No, well then, I don't know. I was moping around the house one day, and my missus said to me, will you stop moping around the house? Why don't you join a band or something? And I said, I don't know bands I want to join. Come on, you know, what are you talking about? She said, well look, she had, I think it was in Disc. She said, I've come across it. She said, it's a Jimmy Page is forming a group because he just left the Yardbirds. She said, why don't you give him a ring, you know? Oh, right. So I just rang him up and said, Jim, I said, how are you doing with the group, you know? He said, well, I haven't got anybody yet. I said, well, if you want a bass player, you know, give me a ring. He said, all right. He said, I'm going up to see a singer. And, what was it? No, it's Terry Reid said, because Terry Reid said there was a singer in Birmingham. And he was going up to have a look at him, and he said he might know a drummer as well. I said, I'll call you, you know, when I've seen them, see what they're like, see if we got a band. He went up there and he said, right, it's really something. Do you want to get, you know, put some money down? We'll get working, you know. I went, oh, yeah, okay. I think he still says to this day that I never paid my share.